I wake up in the morning with the very sincere, how do I influence and impact people? Not from an egotistical manner, just to help them. And knowing that there are going to be people who are going to influence and impact me. And the more humble my attitude, the better off I am.
Okay. Welcome back to episode 7 of In Our Wheelhouse. I am Alyson Martin. I'm the retail sales manager at OK Tire. And today we have Mark Hunter, the sales hunter. It's pretty...
Hey, you know what? And that was my real last name. I know you wanted to ask me, what was your name before you changed it? No, I owe that to my dad. So I guess I had to go into sales, right? Yeah.
We have had the opportunity to get training from you for sales training. And this morning, we had you working with our managers on more of the leadership style. And I had an idea of how I wanted to take this podcast, where we wanted to go with it. And then we were walking over here and I thought, I think I'm going to change it up.
Oh, you're throwing me a curvevball.
I am throwing you a curveball.
Come on.
But to be fair, you didn't know what the plan was.
You're right. I didn't know what the plan was. You're right.
So I've gone through the sales training with you. I sat in on the manager training for leadership. And I feel like a lot of programs, a lot of trainers, a lot of educators, they're always focusing on selling to others or managing down. How are you a better leader for your people? And so often those people are frustrated because they can't manage up, right? You have a leader who goes through all of these trainings, but still is having a hard time reaching a couple of their people, or maybe they don't realize that there's things that they need to work on because they haven't built that trust with their people. So I kind of want to focus on, how do the people start that interaction? How do they manage up? How do they get their manager to understand, this is what I need, if that trust isn't necessarily there, because it needs to be done in order for the relationship to be repaired? Yeah,
here's the situation. So many people are underperforming because their managers aren't supporting them. And you're right, that is. And the easy solution is quit. Go find a different job. Okay, that's not going to work out on this podcast. So it really comes down to that you as the employee have to be willing to go to your boss and share with them in a meaningful manner, hey, I'm having problems with this. I'm having issues with this. Could you help me? Would you help me? And I know early on in my sales career, I look back, there were so many stumbles and falls because I didn't do that. I didn't reach out. I thought I could be the lone wolf. So I'm going to applaud any employee who says, I want to reach out to my manager and try to get them to help me. That is huge. And it really just comes down to, you got to, can I say a little humble? You got to be a humble pie and just say, hey, I'm having problems with this. Can you help me with it? And if you're genuine in asking, if your manager isn't willing to help you, then I'm sorry, you should check out and leave. I mean, I'm dead serious. Because again, at the end of the day, we spend, I don't know what, a third of our life at work. If our manager isn't on our side, and I hate the term manager, I like the term leader. If our leader isn't on our side, that's just frustrating as can be. I got to go find there's plenty of other jobs out there. Don't sit there and say there aren't, because they're out there.
Right. So what if it's the leader that you're having the issue with? The trust factor isn't there, or you just don't feel like your concerns are you feel like your concerns are going to fall on deaf ears.
Yeah, that is absolutely heartbreaking, because sometimes what will happen is I don't want to share this with my leader because they're going to sit there and blab it. I'm having this issue, and they're going to blab it to everybody else because there is no trust. And that is absolutely devastating. And again, if that is an organization you're in, you as an employee need to say, okay, how do I create trust with other people in the organization? And we're just going to wind up creating kind of a subculture within the culture. Because I'll tell you what, if you're working for a boss that you can't trust, something's wrong. I'm going to share with you a story. This is a fascinating story. And I rarely share this story. I had a very important, I was director of sales for a pretty significant company. And we had an annual award thing, the president's trip, where all the top performers get to go on this trip. And every year we would acknowledge the absolute top performer. And because I was director of sales, we kind of ran this whole thing, and I had a department that was charged with coming up with the numbers, and they came up with the person who won. Wasn't the right person. We presented the award, and it was presented by the president of the company. And within an hour afterwards, I realized that this wasn't the right person. Uh-oh, something's wrong. And this was on me. This was my ownership. I remember a couple days later, after the trip was over, going back to the office and sitting down with the president and sitting there saying, I made a mistake. I absolutely made a big mistake. I allowed the award to be presented to the wrong person. It wasn't me. It was my team. It was one of my departments, but I needed to own it. I'm not going to throw them under the bus. Told this, and the president sat there and said, well, hold on. Let's think about how we can spin this. Let's think about how we can do this. And he came up with some crazy idea, crazy solution. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to say, we weren't announcing the winner. We're announcing the who is most likely to receive it next year. And it was a piece of garbage. It was an absolute piece of garbage what he was coming up with. But he sure enough sent out the memo saying this is what they're doing. And it's funny, but right there I said, there's no trust with this guy. I am willing to throw myself under the bus, take the responsibility, and know. And I really wanted to do that because you know what? I wanted the entire sales team to realize that yes, their boss made a mistake, but he's willing to admit it. Let's move on. And hopefully then it would allow other people then to, if they made a mistake, own it and move on. It's okay. Instead comes up with this cockamamie idea. But it's interesting. I left the president's office realizing I don't trust this individual. And it wasn't more than 6 months later that I quit the company. Because that I just cannot work for an individual that is, he was doing it supposedly to protect me. No.
You didn't need protection.
I didn't need protection. Call it out. Mm-hmm. Call an ace and a spade a spade. And I think this is so key. If things are not happening the way you want them to, don't mask them. Call it out the way it is. Be real, be genuine, be authentic. And that's what this president was not doing. And as such, I couldn't trust him. Because what else is he not saying or saying incorrectly?
Who else is he trying to protect?
Right. And within 6 months, I left the company. Yeah.
Understandable. Rightfully so. And now look at you.
Exactly. And what is so interesting is you're right. I went from that to doing this. And I think things have worked out okay.
Pretty good.
I think we've done okay. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Well, thank you for your insight on that. That was something that I just was thinking about with the training. It's so common. Here's how you lead your people, but how do they get to the managers that maybe just aren't seeing it? But you're not wrong. That's why I've left jobs, just different principles that they want to live by, and I left.
It's so interesting. People don't quit companies. They quit managers.
Leaders.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's so old, so trivial it seems like, but it's true. It's true.
Everywhere you go, it doesn't matter the generation that you're in, that's what it is.
Yep.
Well, since we got that out of the way, I do want to have you just tell us a little bit of your story because I find it fascinating that you're here. But just last night we were talking about your time at McDonald's in Alaska. and you're from Nebraska, and now you live in Dallas, and your days are just, I got to do this, this, and this because tomorrow I'm going to Dallas, and then I'm driving to, then I got to go to Fargo. Now I'm going to go to Oregon or wherever. What was your path in getting right here, right now?
Well, my path getting to right here was I got to back up the bus because I didn't want to be in sales. I didn't want to. In fact, I didn't even want to be speaking in front of groups. This is something that very few people know. I stuttered as a kid, badly as a kid, to the point that even in college, I would not attend the first day of class. I would not attend because that was the one day that you might have to say your name. And I stuttered. I stuttered profusely. In fact, it's funny. That's how I got into radio. You're listening to the Mindy 95 because for some reason I could go into a radio voice and I was okay. So in college, I became a disc jockey. Now, the problem is you can't tell your parents that's where your money's going for. So that's where I chose to get a degree in marketing. And ultimately, I was set to go into marketing until my senior year. I bought a new car, which went a little too fast. And I got like 4 speeding tickets in the course of about, 6 or 7 weeks. And what happened was I could not afford car insurance. And that, I love to say the police department changed my career. Because of those speeding tickets, not being able to afford car insurance, my car payment, and rent, I had to find myself a job that supplied me with a car. Well, I didn't want to be a bread truck driver. Didn't want to drive Uber. So I got a job in sales. That's how I wound up in sales.
That's how you wound up in sales, though. But that happened after, because you were 19 when you were in Alaska.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Like your
yes.
whole working career.
The whole working. Yes. I got to back up the bus further than. Okay. I'm sorry. When I was 16, I went to work at McDonald's. And I'm working at McDonald's because it was the place I could get a job.
So McDonald's was your first job?
Dairy Queen.
Okay.
Dairy Queen.
Say, McDonald's was my first job.
Oh, was it really?
It was.
2 all beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun.
You never
Say that
forget
real
it.
fast. You can never forget that. Anyway, I first worked, first I worked on the farm. Every kid does the farm. And then I worked at Dairy Queen. And then McDonald's came to town. First McDonald's, and I got a job there. And evidently I don't know, I guess they thought highly of me and they made me a swing manager. So I was kind of like closing in the evenings and so forth. And what happened was then I go off to college and I need a job to pay for college.
Where'd you go to college?
I went to college at Seattle Pacific University in Seattle. That's actually where I grew up, Seattle. It wasn't Nebraska.
Okay.
I've lived all over. I've lived in 9 states. Okay.
All right.
So anyway, I'm living in Seattle, but I need money for college. And these McDonald's up in Alaska were needing help. Okay, so I just wrote the guy a letter. I literally just wrote the owner a letter. And he said, come on up. And I was up there and started working for him. He had like 5 different McDonald's, and I'm working at this one McDonald's. And like 5 days later, he says, hey, I need you to go to Fairbanks, Alaska. I had been in Anchorage. And we have a really big McDonald's up there that I need you to manage. I didn't know what I was doing. He flies up.
Because what position were you in at this time?
I was the manager. I was the assistant manager of a McDonald's in Anchorage.
Okay.
And then he says, I need you to go up and manage this McDonald's. We're going to try to find a manager, but I need you to run this. I didn't know what I was getting into. I literally walk into the second highest volume McDonald's in the world. Second highest volume McDonald's in the world. I'm 19 years of age. I'm so far out over my skis. This is a business that at that time we were doing I remember these numbers well, $2.2 million a year. Guam was number 1, doing 2.4. This is when a Big Mac was 80 cents. Quarter pounder with cheese was 85. Quarter pounder without cheese was 75. There was no value meals. There wasn't even a Happy Meal. This is when the pipeline was being built in Alaska. And in Fairbanks, this was the only place to eat. And we were doing this I was living in a motorhome on the back lot. He bought a motorhome, and because I was literally working every hour of the day. We were running it with maybe 35, 40 employees. We should have probably had 200, 300. I mean, seriously, the volume we were doing. I mean, we were violating so many labor laws. I mean, there wasn't a labor law we weren't violating, but it didn't matter. We had people to serve.
Yep.
But I learned so much in terms of leadership, cost control, customer service. I mean, just every day was triage. Every day. I mean, it was like one day we ran out of pennies. We literally had no pennies. We had no pennies.
Been there.
Yeah. And we literally had to have somebody get on an airplane from Anchorage, Alaska and fly up with pennies. So we could have pennies. There was another time that we were like on the verge of running out of meat. And we had to air freight some meat up until the truck, because a truck took, first of all, it came on a boat from Seattle to Anchorage. And then
you weren't necessarily getting a truck every week.
Yeah. I mean, so there were so many of these issues. And then a number of the employees happened to be military. And the military base would, I can't remember the different code levels, and they couldn't come to work. So now I'm down to 7 or 8 people instead of the 12 or 13 when I should have had 50. You know, I mean, again, it's just, I mean, you talk about learning how to scramble, but it taught me was that resiliency. It isn't necessarily about winning the long game. It's just staying open to the next day. Just get me to the next day. Mm-hmm. And so many times in business and life, we can look long-term and it doesn't look good. But you know what? Just get me to tomorrow. Just get me to tomorrow. And if I keep doing that, it'll slowly but surely get better. And that has stuck with me through life. Yeah.
How long were you doing managing that McDonald's in Fairbanks?
Yeah, I was only at that one about 4 months, and then I said I'm going back to school. So I'm out of
I'm over this
because they did find somebody to come in and take the job, and I still remember his name, George Woodruff. I still remember because I said, look, I'm going to go ahead and go back to school, and literally with about 4 days to go, in walks George, and I was like, thank goodness George is here, and yeah. But I tell you what, the experience, mind-blowing in terms of leadership, managing people, and accepting people for where they're coming from. Because again, so many times we're faced with issues that we can't control every element of it. But you got to make do with what you got. And you just creatively figure out the solution. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You got to think outside the box sometimes.
Oh, think outside.
Or sometimes it's pretty simple staring you in the face.
Well, it is. I mean, most challenges, if you stop and think about it, are really quite simple. But occasionally there's that one that you got to really be creative and think outside the box. I.e., like we're running out of pennies. How are we going to get pennies? Well, I had to literally call the owner in Anchorage and say, could you get on an airplane and fly up here with pennies? And he literally had to fly up with pennies because that was the fastest way.
Yep. You had to get the job done. You needed pennies.
Yeah, and it was a trade-off, and it was one of those simple, why don't you just go without pennies? Well, here's the situation. You can quickly lose 4 cents on it. You know, you very quickly, and it was like, it was, you know what? It was going to be probably not financially right to do that.
Right.
But otherwise what happens is now you could create a whole another set of problems. So just do it. Just do it.
So you go back to school, and the whole speeding ticket thing, that was towards the end of the college career.
That was at the end of my college career, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then you went into sales because you needed to figure your life out financially. So from there, what did each job look like?
Well, it's funny. My first sales job, you'll love this. I was selling sides of beef. Sides of beef. Now, yeah, hey, this is what you went to college for. Yep. But here's the deal. We sold to restaurants, we sold to stores, we sold to anybody and everybody, but I got a car. Got a car out of it. I had no idea what beef was. And the company I was selling for was a small family-owned company. didn't have a lot of integrity. And I was glad I got fired from that job. I got fired from that job like 1 year after I started, and it was the best thing for me. I got fired from the job because what I was doing was I was saying claims as to what I thought we were selling, and we really weren't. Let's put it this way: the beef was not always beef.
Okay.
And customers were calling them out on it, and I was getting in trouble for, well, how come you said that? Well, isn't that what we're selling, beef? And okay, yeah.
Yeah, good thing you got let go from that place.
Yeah, exactly. It was the best thing to get fired. Yeah.
So then, what was after that?
After that, I went to work for Pillsbury Doughboy, and that was a great job. That was terrific.
You got to dress up as the Doughboy.
I got to dress up as the Doughboy. Yeah, right, wrong. No. I mean, I was given this territory of like 150 stores and go call on them, and I thought I had really made it. Unfortunately, with that job, I was making a lot of claims and a lot of statements, and ultimately what they did was they shut down the sales force, and got let go from that too.
So I have a quick question. In either of those jobs, what did the onboarding look like?
There wasn't. Oh, excuse me. The meat company was, hey, here's a brochure on the meat that we sell, and that was literally the extent of it. Pillsbury, I did get sat down for a week, and that was actually pretty good. I still Keith Olson. I still remember that Keith Olson sat down with me, Eugene, Oregon. I still remember it, Eugene, Oregon, and he worked with me for a week. And I remember the first time I went out on a sales call, I was petrified, shaking as can be, pathetic, bad. But he said, "You're going to be okay. I think you're going to make it." And it's like, dude, I sucked. I was bad. But he believed in me. Well, he had hired me. So, and ultimately then I got enough confidence and was able to somewhat do the job. I still ultimately got fired. Didn't even last in that job 6 months.
Well, if you don't mind me asking, why?
Well, because what happened was we were making claims. We were making all kinds of myself and 3 other salespeople that kind of ran that area. We were making claims to customers that, again, our customer service department couldn't fulfill orders we couldn't fulfill, and they ultimately just shut the whole thing down. And they just went in a different direction.
Okay.
And that was, again, but that took me to my 3rd job, which was where I finally, I made it. Yeah.
So what was the 3rd job?
General Foods. See, still in the food business. Food business.
Stick to what you know.
You stick to what you know. And but it was funny because I was in that job for about 4 months, and I'll never forget his name. Bob Stone calls me into his office. Now, I've been fired from 2 previous jobs, okay? Bob Stone calls me into his office. He's the big guy. He's not my boss. He's my boss's boss. He is the big guy. And he calls me in, and I sit down, and I know I'm getting fired because I know how the drill works.
You've been through this already. You're a seasoned vet.
I'm a seasoned vet. In fact, it's so funny because I had a company car. And the night before, because he had told me the day before, be in my office at 1:00 the next day. So that night, I cleaned out my company car. I mean, I literally cleaned out my company car, and I told my wife, we'd only been married a year, and I said, "Do you think you can drive to work?" Because normally I would take her to work because, hey, it's a company car, so I'm going to take her to work. It's free, and I said, "I'm going to take you to work, and do you think you can get off work early? Because I'm going to get fired about 1:15, and I don't want to stand outside of the building."
Was that just a calm, casual conversation? Just say, "I'm going to get fired tomorrow."
I just know that I'm going to get fired. And she said, "Oh yeah, don't worry about it. I can be there." So anyway, I go into Bob's office. I sit down. Bob comes in, and I'll never forget these questions. Now, this is so funny. Now, this is going to date me. This is the 80s, okay? So this is the 80s. I'm wearing a brown plaid polyester suit. Now, this is key to keep in mind, polyester, and I'll get to that in a bit as to why that's important. I have in my pocket 2 sets of car keys. 2 sets of car keys. Bob comes in and goes, Mark, how you doing? Fine. How long have you been with us? And I go, well, about 4 months, 5 months. And he goes, now, where did we hire you from? Where did you and he starts asking me questions. I go, dude, you just came from HR. You should have my file with me. Because I know how this works. I'm 24, 25 years of age. I am smart. I know you're firing me. Mm-hmm. And he asked me these respective questions. And I'm like, blah, 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 blah. And then I begin to sense, okay, he's going to fire me. So I'm pushing these keys down in my pocket. They are, when I die right here in the chair, they are going to have to peel my pants off. And as I'm doing that, I am sweating. Now, polyester does not absorb moisture. There is a lake forming behind me. There is a lake forming on the floor. And he begins to say, and then he begins to say, hey, do you think you're making any impact with customers? That's a weird question. Do you think you're making an impact with customers? I go, well, yeah, I do. How do you know that? I don't know. He says, I think all you're doing is you're just going in, you're just taking orders. You're not really listening to the customer. You're not listening to the customer. And then he said something amazing. He said, do you eat breakfast in the morning? Now I'm thinking, okay, this is weird. Is he going to give me like a coupon for a Denny's Grand Slam breakfast as a parting gift or what? He says, do you eat breakfast in the morning? And I go, well, yeah, I do. He says, do you do anything while you eat breakfast? And I go, well, I don't know. I just kind of wolf down something real quick and kind of waiting for my. He says, well, I want you tomorrow morning and from this day forward, I want you to eat breakfast with a mirror in front of you. Now, this is weird. This is really getting weird. He says, because you have the most dour face I've ever met. I had never heard the word dour before. You asked me what the word dour meant. I have no clue whatsoever. And I'm like, okay. And he says, because here's the deal. You're not connecting with your customers. You are not connecting with your customers. And what he said is because you're just walking in like a 2x4, like a brick. You got to engage. You got to create a relationship with customers. Well, it's interesting. I left there and I wound up having a 12-year career with them. Absolutely terrific. That was some of the best advice I'd ever have, other than the word dour. Where the heck did that come from? But what Bob was getting to was the fact that sales is a relationship. We were talking about leaders. I always say that sales is leadership, leadership is sales. Show me a good salesperson, they're a good leader. Show me a good leader, they're a good salesperson. And when you just combine the two together, it's amazing at what happens. So what I did was I suddenly began investing time in customers, listening to customers. And my career took off. Yeah, absolutely terrific.
So you had 12 years at General Foods. And how did you find that job?
I found that job only because of Keith Olson, who had been my boss at Pillsbury.
His parting gift was a referral to General Foods?
His parting gift was a referral to General Foods for me. Yeah. Which was nice of him, even though he's firing me, he gave me a parting gift.
Kind of cool.
And this is a funny journey because you talk about how life evolves. So I'm with General Foods for 12 years. They moved me all over the country. Ultimately, we're living in New Jersey. Yeah, New Jersey. Yeah, great place. Anyway, and our oldest was in the first grade. And my wife and I go, is this really where we want to raise the kids? No. Unfortunately, my job was New York based. That wasn't going to change. That's where their corporate offices were. This was it. So I made a family decision and a career decision to join ConAgra Corporation, which is based out of Omaha. And I moved to Omaha because it was a great family town, and it's where we could raise the kids and a good job. And that's where I spent 6 years where I ultimately met that president who then I said, no, I'm out of here. And yeah, that's my journey. You now know the history of Mark Hunter.
Well,
Yes.
no, not necessarily. Not necessarily. So how did you find ConAg? Is that what you...
Yeah, I found ConAgra by way of a headhunter. If you've heard of Hunt Snack Pack, you've heard of Orville Redenbacher popcorn and Hunt's tomato sauce. That's that company that made all that stuff.
And what were you doing for them?
I ultimately became director of sales for them. I mean, I had a very good job with them, great job with them. But it just I wasn't aligned with the president. Just wasn't happening.
So after that place, then what?
I began doing what I'm doing here today. Yeah.
What... I imagine the decision to do that was a conversation over dinner with you and your wife one night.
Yeah, just one night over dinner. I said, honey, I'm gonna quit. We're gonna go do this. Yeah. Wrong. No. It had been because again, from that time where that president did that thing, I began telling my wife, I said, we've got to get out of here. We've got to get out of here. And but we really liked Omaha. We had been living there 6 years then. We really liked Omaha, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and quit and kind of do my own thing. And she supported me. I'll tell you what, she backed me 100%. And that was 27 years ago. Yeah. And it's been a ride of a lifetime. And it's fun because when you're self-employed, you eat what you kill. I mean, you truly do eat what you kill. And finding out what you can do, finding out what you can't do. It's been a crazy ride along the way. But along the way, I have spoken in 29 different countries, have worked in hundreds of different industries, hundreds of different companies, have met along the way fantastic people that just mind-blowing, like here at OK Tire, just great group of people. And that's cool. Yeah, it's fun.
So your business, aside from the podcast, is essentially sales and leadership consulting.
Yeah, well, it's what I do is I do a lot of keynote speaking. In other words, I do a lot of speaking at conferences. Like tomorrow morning, I'll be in Dallas at a major event, and I'll be speaking. And then from that keynote speaking, then what happens is CEOs will come up, people will come up and say, "Hey, can you do this for our company? Can you?" And then it winds up being, "Can I come into that company and do something? Can you do some consulting? Can you do other things?" So the podcasting is really just a medium for me to kind of promote myself, for me to advertise, for me to
Which I believe is exactly how Sean found you, if I remember correctly.
That's right. Well, Chad had heard of me. Chad knew me a little bit. And then you're right. Yeah. And then they found the podcast and they go, "This guy, I guess he's good. I don't know."
I remember when Sean started, he had already been listening to you, but then he started talking to me about you more. And I think for Christmas last year, I got him one of your books. Oh. And he was just delighted. And then when we found out that you were going to be coming here, it was like kid on Christmas morning for him.
Well, yeah, it is. It's just a cool. What I find interesting is this is a very typical story. OK Tire. Somebody's heard of me. Somebody's been listening to. Somebody's found, and it just kind of swings around out there in the universe for months, years, whatever, and then they call.
Is there like a most outlandish way that someone's got in touch with you or heard of you or made it happen where you come and speak to them?
Wow, that's a great question. No, I don't know. Okay, now in 3 weeks, I'm going to be speaking in Milan, Italy, because everybody goes from Fargo to Milan, Italy.
Yeah.
And this is a company that they said, "Oh yeah, we heard you on a webinar like 7 or 8 years ago." I have no clue. I mean, Milan, Italy doesn't normally raise their hand, but they booked me, and I'm going to Milan, Italy here.
Which is funny that you say that, because in what you were talking about this morning, you had said that the biggest impact that we make are usually the ones that we don't know about.
Exactly. This is the whole thing. This is why I love doing the podcast. This is why I'm so pleased with what you're doing, because podcasts hang out there forever. And it may not be somebody that listens to it today. It might be somebody that listens to it in 6 months, a year from now. And then it curates and it begins, and then they check out something else. They check out something else. And then you're right. That's exact. There are so many people, it's kind of funny, but I'll have somebody call me and they go, "Oh, we've been following you for years. Oh, you've been stalking me." Yeah, really, really appreciate that. But if you think about what is OK Tire, OK Tire has a reputation that's absolutely stellar. Now, thousands and thousands of people know the name OK Tire. They just haven't interacted yet. They will. It will. You just keep. I mean, this is the ultimate farming. This is the ultimate, or not really. Farming is really a forest. You plant little trees, and then over years they just keep growing bigger and bigger and bigger, and then they eventually become visible. Oh, I can see them, and then yeah.
How did you start out when you went on your own? How did you get your name out there?
Good. I didn't, because I starved to death. It's funny. Again, it's your network. You rely on people who know you, and this is the whole thing. Relationships. Relationships are so critical. You reach out to people. You start asking them. You start talking to them. Hey, how can I help you? What can I do? And initially, I stumbled and fell all over the place because I was trying to do anything and everything. And this is the whole thing that you got to get focused. What is it that you do, and do that well? Do that well. Don't try to do everything. So it took me a while to get that kind of narrowed down. But then as you begin to narrow that down, what happens is you begin to become more well known for that. And then, okay, now I can begin to reach out. So like when I went to The Sales Hunter, that was a huge piece. I didn't get that name initially. I was in business for several years before I did that. And a lot of scientific research went into it. The domain name was available, thesaleshunter.com. So we bought it. Yeah. And I've owned it ever since. But that's absolutely the key in any business is, what is it that you are known for? And how do you become easily referable? This is where OK Tire is. Oh, great. OK Tire's got such a great reputation, great name, that if somebody has come in and bought tires or had some automotive work done or work on their truck, their farm equipment, whatever, and it's gone well, it's easy for them to talk about OK Tire to somebody. Oh yeah, I know who OK Tire is. I know. See, so that's what you want. That's how I get the bulk of my work today. It's either from my books, my podcast, my YouTube channel, various things, but you put those different mediums out there and people begin finding you. And these are people that I never would have found OK Tire. I mean, what's the probability of me finding OK Tire? 0.
Pretty slim.
Pretty slim, yeah. But it's worked out great, yeah.
All of the different traveling that you get to do and different group sizes that you speak to, is there like a sweet spot as far as size goes where you're the most comfortable or you make the biggest impact or feel like you did?
Yeah, this is going to sound crazy. I love small groups like we had today. We had like 25 people. Mm-hmm. I love that. But I also love the 5,000. There is just something magical about going on stage, 5,000 people or more, standing in front of that audience, and you realize they're listening to you. That's just a rush. I mean, it is absolutely a rush. So yeah, it's the total extreme. Weird. I know. Okay. Did I take my medicine this morning? Yes. I take my meds every morning. Yeah, I do.
So do I. Don't worry about it. Yeah. Some days you don't.
Well,
and you just figure it out.
Some days I'm not sure, so I just take the whole bottle. So it's okay.
I did tell my boss that one day. I forgot if I took mine, so I just took the whole bottle.
Yeah, it works.
Is there a moment, an event that you went to, a plane that you took where you thought, yeah, I did it. Or like Lil Mark would be so proud of me right now.
Yeah, there's also been times that I've crashed and burned on stage.
Okay, let's talk about those.
And you know what?
Let's talk about both.
Well, yeah, you know what a sad comment is? You kind of remember the crash and burns more than you do. I remember one event in particular, though, tremendous success. It would happen to be in Salt Lake City, and it's for a large multi-level marketing company. And it was it was in the Salt Lake City Convention Center. And it was one of those things that it just clicked. It just clicked. I'm on stage and the crowd is just roaring. They're laughing. They're having a great time. Everything is just going great. The gentleman who was the MC the event, I'd had dinner with him a couple nights before. We had a funny story we were able to share. And it was just, it was one of those electrical moments. Now, this is what's interesting. I left that stage, standing ovation, and you really think you've made it. 5 months later, I had the lowest of lows.
And when was this?
On a big stage. This is probably about 7 or 8 years ago.
So not even that long ago.
Not even that. Maybe only 6 years ago now.
Okay.
I go from the highest to the lowest. And here's why. I allowed the highest to now, I've made it. I'm good. I can crush this. I can crush anything. I can crush anything. And I literally got on a stage about 5 months later. Thought I could just wing it. Yeah. Hey, don't get me wrong. I did great. I mean, it was good, but it wasn't even close. Mm-hmm. And it taught me a lesson. It doesn't matter how good you think you are. You got to prep and prep and prep for each event that you do. Mm-hmm. Because what happened was I got drunk on my success. And I allowed it to get the best of me.
Why did you feel, or how did you know that didn't go as well as you had thought it would?
I'm sitting there going through, and I'm going, wait a minute, I'm losing track of where I'm at. I'm like, no, this is not. I thought, well, I'll just do a little of this story, a little of that story, a little of this, and like, no, it didn't have a structural flow, and it was just a big mistake. There are 2 times that I can say I didn't do well on stage. That was one of them. Another one was an event, and I'll never forget because it was myself and 4 others that I knew who were speaking. And that morning, I allowed myself to believe that, one of us is going to bomb. One of us is going to bomb. One of us is going to bomb. And I allowed that to become my psyche. Unfortunately, I was the one that didn't do well. My time had got cut short. It was just a lot of things that were collapsing in, and I lost sight. I lost the mental psyche, because again, so much of what we do in life is mental preparation. And in both of those situations, we don't rise to the level of our expectation. We lower to our level of practice, we lower to our level of preparation. Yeah.
Using that as kind of a segue into my next question. You talked about it this morning, and I believe you just said it a little bit ago, how who you are is very important with the 5 core people that you keep around you.
Oh, yeah.
Is there, in your opinion, like I don't want to say magic number because we've said 5, but 5 different personalities, 5 different strengths, 5 different weaknesses? Like, what does that 5 need to consist of?
Great question.
In order for you to be the better person that you want to be.
Yeah. The 5, I'm part of a mastermind group, and I call this a mastermind group, and there's 5 of us in it. Each one of us have different personalities, dramatically different personalities. Each of us have different expectations and goals in life. we're all in the similar business. We're all in the kind of the speaking, coaching, developing business, but we're all uniquely different. And the 5 of us complement each other extremely well. We push each other hard. Now, could we be dramatically different? Yeah, I suppose we could. One of the dramatic differences is one person lives in North Carolina, another person lives in San Diego, I live in Dallas, another person lives in Tennessee, and the other person lives outside of Minneapolis. And we're very diverse that way. But what I find in your tight group, there has to be an unwavering commitment to help each other. There has to be. And it's funny, but in this mastermind group I'm a part of, and I tell anybody, if you think about any successful business person, I was talking today with Dana. He's part of it. He has his mentor. He has his people that he's absolutely. It absolutely, because again, it becomes your North Star. It becomes your and it keeps you on track, and it challenges you and pushes you. For instance, one of the people in the group is my co-host on Sales Logic, Meredith Elliott Powell. And we've done 251 episodes of this podcast. Yeah, number 7. Got a ways to go.
Thanks for gloating.
Yeah, you know what? I'll tell you what. I never would have dreamed that we get to 250.
If we get to 250, you're getting an email.
You're going to send me an email. And you know what's funny is we never thought we'd get 250 because we never thought we'd get to 5 or 10.
Yeah,
and
that's
then
true.
10 became 11. 11 became, and again, this is just the next day, the next episode. And what happened, and this is the key in life, this is what I find so much in things. We got to 250 episodes because we do it every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Central Time. Regardless. Mm-hmm. Regardless. Doesn't matter.
Back to your mastermind group. All over the country.
Yep.
That's a professional.
That's a professional mastermind group, right?
How do you go about getting in one of those or starting one of those?
It did.
Singing Kumbaya one night around the campfire and said, "Let's start this."
Yeah. Well, what happened was I was very good friends with a gentleman, with one of the other people in it, Sam Richter, and he and I had been good friends for 5 or 6 years. We just, hanging out. And Mary Kelly, we happened to be at a common industry conference. And I'll still never forget, Mary Kelly walked up to me and Sam and I happened to be standing in the hallway. We were just talking. He said, "Hey, you guys, we're going to form a mastermind group." Oh, okay. Boom. We just did it.
What do you do?
And what it was let's just agree to talk every couple weeks on the phone. Just to share ideas, share what's working, share strategies, and so forth. So this was just the 3 of us. And then lo and behold, I had met this lady about a year before. And she and I had done some videos together. We'd done a couple things together, Meredith Elliott Powell. And about a year later, I made the comment to Mary and Sam. I said, "Hey, I know this lady who I think would be a great fit. I think she'd be great." I think Meredith and I had probably just begun the podcast about then. And I mentioned the name, and Mary said, "Oh, I know of her. I've heard of her." Yeah. Boom. So then she was in it. So now we're up to 4. And then there was another gentleman who we all knew. Just, I don't know how we knew. Oh, I know Mary Kelly had co-authored a couple books with the gentleman, and I got to know. And he joined the group about a year and a half ago. And there's no magic about it. It's just we just agree to. I'll tell you where this group has gone though. This is what's cool. We meet maybe once a quarter for a good Zoom call for a couple of hours where we'll talk and dissect business, what's challenges, what's happening. We text each other all the time. I mean, every day there's text messages that are going back and forth. But we've reached the point, our spouses all know each other very well. I mean, we have vacation together. 2 years ago, we went to Phoenix together. We the 10 of us spent 3 days together. Lo and behold, one of them, Mary Kelly, was getting married on an Alaska cruise last July. This is like a year, 13 months ago. And she says, hey, I want you guys to come and join me for my wedding. And we did. So we all joined, and we all went with her on this Alaska cruise. It was absolutely a kick in the pants.
That's amazing.
And then last January, all 10 of us, we went to Costa Rica together. And we spent 3 days in Costa Rica. And so we had this commitment that the first couple of days of every year, we meet just to lay out our business plan. I mean, we really dive into it. And our spouses just all, I mean, it really is spooky how well we all get along. I mean, there is a chemistry that's just worked out well.
I mean, you're as successful as the people that are around you.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And yet what's interesting is we're as diverse, politically, faith-based. We're couple have no desire to ever have kids. Others have got kids. I mean, again, we're all different, and we embrace that. We love it.
Right, because that's how you bring a different perspective.
We love it. Yeah.
That's probably what I'll be taking away from this podcast is something like that.
And here's you just find one person, and you start hanging out, and then somewhere along the line you may find a third person, but it's the accountability and the ability that I've been able to call them and say, hey, I'm having a challenge with this. What's the software that you recommend? What's the tool that you recommend? Or who, and boom, there's the answer.
Yeah.
And it just works.
Do you have anything like that? I want to say personally, but this is like a personal and professional.
Yeah.
For the people that do try to keep work and home life separate, how do you go about? I guess I don't even know what I want to ask right now. Like, would you, if someone wants to start something like that for themselves, and they have people that are just personal but not necessarily career driven, and then you have people that are in your professional world that are super career driven.
Yes.
They're probably not the best people to like co-mingle like that, but they can still be the sum of who you are.
Absolutely. My wife and I are part of a couples group, and it's from our church, and it's a small group. There's four other couples, and we're part of that small group. And again, that is a great, and again, that's all very much family and community focused and around our faith and so forth. That's absolutely wonderful. And that's, we have these two different groups, and it's great. Here's the thing. We have a real challenge in society that we're very social media driven. And yet COVID did it, just destroyed us again. And we are societally driven. We've got to be connected. So you've got to have people that you connect with, that you engage with, and that's why having small inner circles is absolutely key. And what I love about both is that we can have challenging conversations in each one, and yet we accept people. And this isn't a game of let's scroll through Facebook, let's scroll through Instagram. No, forget it. Could care less. Yeah, no, hate them.
Yeah, I'm just really soaking all that information in. I love that. When do you think you realized that you needed people in your life in order to keep going where you wanted to go?
Oh, okay. Now this is powerful because I look back on my early corporate career. I was so arrogant. It was unbelievable. I mean, incredibly arrogant. I achieved an incredible level of success when I was at General Foods. Corporate aircraft, everything. But it was incredibly ego-driven. my career would have done so much better if I had not been egocentric. If I had been humble.
So much better in what aspect, though?
And say, hey, I need help. I need guidance. I need direction. I look back 30 years beyond that. I'm going to tell you a fascinating story.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting at work, General Foods, and the financial controller for the division I'm in walks into my office and says, I need some numbers from you. Can you provide some numbers for us? Because having a meeting with our largest shareholder, and every year we present to him. I go, okay, so well, no big deal. A couple days later, he comes back in and says, hey, if you'd like to come join us in the meeting, it's this person by the name of Warren Buffett. I go, who's he? Now this is the mid 80s. This is probably about 1985, 86.
Okay.
And he goes, well, he's this farmer from the Midwest. Now stop and think about that. I am so full of myself. We're in New York. We're in New York, the center of commerce. This is the world. This is a billion. We're part of the Fortune 500. Mm-hmm. I got a prestigious job. What do I want to go spend time with some farmer from the Midwest? I turned down that meeting to be able to meet with Warren. Stop and think about that. Now, it isn't like I would have had one-on-one conversation, but every year when they presented to Warren, he came into a conference room, sit down, and then around the perimeter, they would have this row of people just observing. And I was invited to be one of those observers. Mm-hmm. But I was so full of myself that I didn't see that opportunity. This is the thing that I find so amazing. We all have incredible gifts given to us of connections, of relationships, people that we fail to seize upon because we think we know it all. And looking back, if I had been a little more humble in that, I wonder where things would have gone. I wonder how things might have been different.
Right.
Yeah.
So what was your crash out moment then in getting knocked off your pedestal? Because sitting here in front of me today and listening to you over the last few months, you definitely don't give off a egocentric vibe.
No, I mean, because I've been slammed to the floor so many times. I mean, again, I wake up in the morning with the very sincere, how do I influence and impact people? Mm-hmm. Not from an egotistical manner, just to help them. And knowing that there are going to be people who are going to influence and impact me. And the more humble my attitude, and I'll share with you a story in just a second, the better off I am. And this is so key. And again, early on in my career, I just was not. So where I got knocked off my career, was, for instance, having that stupid situation where we awarded the award to the wrong person. Mm-hmm. If I had just done my job of inspect what we expect, mm-hmm. instead of accepting my manager, I'm manager of a department, just accepted his word. I didn't own it enough. I owned it later. That would have changed different. Now, in hindsight, I probably wouldn't be sitting here today. I probably would have stayed in corporate America. So again, many times what happens is the failures we experience in life wind up turning around, becoming the best opportunities. And again, that's how I looked, because I've had situations. I had an unbelievable opportunity that I thought was supposed to happen, and I had worked for years on it. And then at the last minute, they said, nope, not interested. Gut-wrenching. And I remember telling my wife, I said, this is pathetic. This is lame. But let me share with you a story about humility. I can't say the CEO's name. I haven't cleared it with him. He has since retired. But he was, well, I won't say his name, but you can probably Google it and find out. He was CEO of Mattel Toys. This was a number of years ago. And I'm brought in to do some work with his executive team. Wonderful gentleman, just an absolute gentleman. And he came in as the CEO right after, I'll go ahead and say the name, Bob Eckert. And you can Google it. Bob Eckert. He came in right after the CEO had been fired before him. And she was literally without Dragon Lady. I mean, she was just difficult to work with. Mm-hmm. And I'm meeting with Bob Eckert and his leadership team, and we're having a great day. And it's just a great day. And it's interesting, but I could very much tell. I didn't know this CEO beforehand, but I began asking the staff, said, how is Bob different from the, oh man, you can't even begin to. They all made the comment, we can't believe how nice Bob is. Bob is incredibly nice. Incredibly nice. And I experienced this as we're interfacing with the hotel staff as they're coming in to refresh the breaks and so forth. And he's engaging with the staff. He's, hey, how are you? How you doing? And just really courteous. I went up to Bob. I said, Bob, you're incredibly engaging. You're incredibly nice. And Bob is from Wisconsin. And he says, shucks. It's just what my mom always told. I said, Bob, come on, cut it. You're incredibly nice. And he began to tell me two things that were absolutely profound. He said, well, I really do take a genuine interest in people. It's the right thing to do. I take a genuine interest. And I said, yeah, I clearly tell you take a genuine interest in everybody. And this is a gentleman who had corporate aircraft, corporate helicopters. He's titan of industry. And he said, but I'll tell you what, when I'm nice to people, I make better decisions. Drop the mic. What was interesting was over the course of his tenure at Mattel Toys, and I got to know him in some other levels. He was CEO of he was on the board of directors of a major corporation who went through 3 CEOs in the course of a year due to 2 deaths. Oh, wow. Unbelievable tragedy. When he was at Mattel Toys, went through unbelievable issues in terms of lead toys coming over from China, other patent infringement suits, just major issues. The entire time, the board of directors could easily have said, Bob, you're gone. You're fired. We need a victim. We need a victim to rally the stock price. They never did. He had an unbelievable tenure at Mattel Toys. And I go back to his thing. He says, when you're nice to people, you make better decisions.
How so?
Because he says, you're calm. You're not focused on you. You're focused on helping them. You're focused on helping them. That's where the whole thing that I talked today in terms of influence and impact, that's what it's about. It's just, Bob was the epitome of that. Bob was not the person who would pound on the desk, stand up, and he just listened. Listen. Oh, he'd make the decision. There's no problem in that. But he wanted other people to make the decision. Because I remember he'd sit there and say, what do you think we should do in this? How do you think we should deal with this? He was always empowering. Everything we talked about today from leadership, it was him. That was him. Yeah, I revere him immensely. Tremendous leader. Yeah.
I'll share with you a story about Sean, since he's your biggest fan.
Yeah.
In the area, and I think you'll like it. When I started at OK Tire, Sean was a salesman up front, downstairs here, and I was a tire tech. We did not like each other. Hate's a strong word, but it was pretty close to that. Sean was a great salesman because he made you feel good. Mm-hmm. You walked in, and the first time meeting you, he'd make you feel like you guys have been best friends for 10 years. His mentality for taking care of customers was that you take care of the customers and kind of not so much the people that are servicing what the customers need done. Mm-hmm. Customers came first, which I had a massive problem with, so we butt heads all the time. Fast forward, he ended up training me in sales, and the perspective on my end changed a little bit, so we got a little bit better, but still really just clashed heads because he still had the customer first mentality and mine is employee first. And I felt like there was a lot of lines that got crossed. And fast forward a few more years, we get to the point where he's my boss again on the corporate level, and both of us had done some growing, some changing, getting a little bit more emotionally mature. And I don't remember what the conversation was, but it wasn't necessarily getting heated, but it wasn't going well. And I think I just asked, can I be honest with you? You know, when you do this is how it makes me and other people feel. It's not good, right? Like you're having a very negative impact on those around you because you put so much emphasis on the customers. It makes the employees feel like you don't care about them. And what a game changer that was for us. I asked about managing up at the beginning of this podcast because I felt like I was able to do that.
Wow, that is a great success story. That's huge.
I felt like I was able to do that with Sean, and our relationship is just pretty rock solid now. There's nothing I don't go to him for if I've got a question on work, even personal things, and being able to see his ability to be better for the employees. He now has that mindset where if we take care of the employees, they're going to take care of our customers. And his overall stress level, I want to say, is still pretty high, but it's not because of negative interactions with employees anymore, which is phenomenal to see.
Yeah. And I firmly believe as a leader, you take care of the employees and the employees will take care of the customers.
Exactly.
That's like what we were talking about this morning. I want to back up for just a second because in this morning's session, I was talking about a gentleman by the name of John Canavan, who really impacted me. Tremendous leader. Demonstrated a tremendous when my father had a heart attack and I went to John and said, John, I need to take a couple days off. He no problem at all, take care. And he really demonstrated interest in me. He was an incredibly personable leader. What I did not realize about him was that he had a son that was challenged. He had 2 daughters and a son. And his son was severely challenged. And it was amazing because his wife, as I got to know his wife, she said, you don't realize the number of hours that John has poured into his son, helping him. And it's interesting, but she made the comment, she said, our son, it's been the best gift to our family. First of all, she loves her kids regardless. But she said it really shaped John as a leader. And I go, wow, that's interesting. So many times in life, now nobody, and it's interesting. I remember him telling the story about when his son was born, that the umbilical cord was wrapped around the neck twice. And they had to call the priest in for last rites. They did not expect it. And that came out because of the fact that when our son was born, my wife had a C-section. And boy, we thank God for this, that thank goodness she had a C-section because the umbilical cord was wrapped around the neck.
Okay.
And he was able. And that's when he told the story of his son. That was the first time I learned that. And it's interesting, but sometimes what happens is you go through experiences in life that are tragic centered. Just, you wouldn't wish them on anybody. But it shapes you as an individual. And it dramatically changes your impact. And I really feel those are the moments that you become humble and you become thankful. And you suddenly begin to realize that it's not about the money, it's not about the tires we sell, it's not about it's about a bigger picture. That's why I place so much emphasis on people. Our whole job, we just happen to be in the tire business. Our job is serving people. Our job is helping people.
Right.
It's just tires happens to be the medium. Yeah. But it's so when we go through life and we encounter challenges, we encounter problems. To me, that's just sharpening the sword to make us better for that next experience.
Do you feel like the people that you've met that genuinely, from their hearts, want to impact in a positive way, you don't want people to feel lonely, scared, like they're in this life by themselves, are the ones who had maybe a I don't want to say darker past, but some real bad things happened to him.
Oh yeah, and see that all depends on how you allow it to respond to what happens to you.
Correct.
I mean that's the deal, because you're right. I mean, I've seen some people who have a bad experience, and literally it takes them down. But this is where I think we as people have to rally around people. This is the community. This is the society. This is who we are. I have a very good friend, Gus, and Gus fell off a tractor at the age of 10, lost an arm, and severely mangled his body.
Oh, goodness.
Now at the age of 10, not having an arm, ultimately one leg is 2 inches shorter than the other leg, and he wears a size 14 on one foot, size 11 on the other foot. And yet Gus went on to play small college basketball with one hand. I mean, it's amazing. Gus went through major periods of depression.
As anybody would.
But I'll tell you what, he is a gift to those around him today. He subsequently, because of these injuries, at the age of 44, he had a stroke. Has had some serious issues. But is just an unbelievable positive influence. And again, it just depends on how you choose to frame it.
Yeah, how you choose to react.
Yeah.
You can either be better because of it or let it swallow you up.
And here's the thing. It's a heck of a lot easier going through life with a positive attitude than a negative attitude.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
it's more fun, less miserable.
And you know what? Positive people tend to live longer. Hello, knock, 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 knock. Who's there? I've got a friend that's going through a very challenging stage 4 cancer right now. Very, very challenging. Wonderful friend. Oh man, how, why? And initially when he was diagnosed, very dark. But now you know what? There's nothing I can do about it. It sucks.
Yeah.
But we're going to find a way to get through it. And myself and a few others were finding every story of success of others who have had stage 4 similar and are living today 10, 15 years later, 20 years later. I said, look at it here. Look, that happened 20 years ago. Now, look at how far medicine has advanced. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, it just depends on how you choose to look at the day.
Right.
And to me, each day is a gift. It's just a gift to use it. Yeah.
I'm going to kind of switch lanes here.
Yeah.
Going back to sales.
Put your signal on.
Going back to sales, was there like a tough sale that you had that you worked on? Maybe it just took you a long time. Maybe you had to get 5 different people involved. Maybe you just didn't believe in the product, but you got the sale and you were pretty grateful for it. If so, what was it?
Yeah. I've had several like this. One I had that in fact, it's funny. It's in my CRM system and I talk about it a lot. Took almost 18 months to close the deal.
Oh, wow.
46, and it's documented in my CRM system, 46 touches to get them to finally come around. 46. Ultimately, when they did come around, we closed the deal in 3 weeks. And it was interesting. When I share that story, people say, well, weren't you bugging them? No. Each time I messaged them, each time I called them or, whatever, I was giving them value. I was telling them something of interest about their industry, something that could help them,
It was for what you're doing now.
It was for what I'm doing. Yeah, this was just a couple years ago.
Okay.
And ultimately, we closed the biggest deal my company's ever closed. And I can't say the company, we're under a non-disclosure act. But yeah, it was a game changer. And it was funny. People said, well, why'd you stay in the game for 18 months? Well, because 2 reasons. One, I knew I could help them. I absolutely knew I could help them. This was unwavering, unbelievable. 2, I knew that this deal was so big. I couldn't let it go. I mean, the latter one is kind of self-serving. Totally get that.
Mm-hmm.
But it was only present because of the fact that I knew I could help them. I mean, there was this was a gift.
Why do you think it took 18 months on their end?
I think it took 18 months on their end because at the time they didn't have the timing or the relevance. Mm. In other words, it just didn't fit their timing, and I wasn't fitting their critical need. But I had to just keep sticking around. Now, somebody would say, well, why didn't you find that out early on? I didn't know that. They weren't responding. Mm-hmm. I wish I could have.
Right.
But I just knew I wanted to stay in the game long enough that I would get them.
Do you follow up with them still?
Oh, yeah. I'm in touch with them all the time. And they are a huge piece of my business. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
What do you think your impact looked like for them?
Oh, we can go in and we can measure millions and millions of dollars that I've been able to help them generate by reconfiguring their sales organization, reconfiguring some of their compensation programs, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
And it was one of those situations where this was a big company that was just incredibly successful. They were incredibly successful because they just happened to be in the right marketplace at the right time. But then the marketplace began to change, and they weren't changing with it. Mm-hmm. And they were dying a slow death. And I said, I know, I've seen this rodeo. I've played this song before. I know I can help you.
Yeah, you need to change in order to keep surviving.
Yeah.
So was that deal a topic in your mastermind group?
Oh, yes. Oh, time and time again, a lot.
So what did that celebration look like when you told everyone that you finally got it?
Oh, yeah, everybody's happy, everybody's great. Again, but, we've all got successes. We've all got, big wins, and we congratulate each other. And we, again, I was keeping them abreast along the way. And, those are the fun. Sales, to me, is a kick in the pants because all I'm doing is helping people. That's all I'm doing. I'm just helping people. Mm-hmm. It's not rocket. This isn't rocket science. And when you seriously believe that you can help someone, you owe it to them to reach out to them.
Right.
I don't hesitate to call businesses that I don't have any relationship with. But if I know I can help them, I'm going to call them. Why would I not? Because, as I like to say, if I have a problem, and you can ask my kids will tell you that Daddy has a lot of problems, okay? And you could help me. I would want you to reach out and help me. If you didn't reach out and help me, and I found out later that you could have helped me, I'd be disappointed.
Right.
See, we do people a disservice when we don't reach out to them. That's why I love, OK Tire, there's no business, no person that we can't be in contact with because we know we can help them.
Right.
We owe it to them. Yeah.
So when you get these wins, how do you kind of have this servant leadership style in both leadership and in sales. How do you celebrate when you do a good job? Whether you sign a big deal or you made a significant impact on maybe just one person or just the trip really went well. What do you do to kind of relax and enjoy the fruits of your labor, essentially?
Yeah, you take a deep breath. You say, that's good. But again, it goes back to that deal. Remember when I did really good on the stage and then I collapsed? I can't allow myself to get drunk on my success. No,
but you can still enjoy what you've done.
I can still celebrate. Yeah, I can celebrate. I'll go take my wife to dinner. We'll go do something nice. We'll go do something. But again, this is a game of repeat. And so many salespeople, what they do is they go from mountaintop to valley. They get this big sale, and then they back off, and they go in a valley.
Right.
And they up. And what I want to do is I just want to be consistent. After I close a big sale, I want to be on the phone right away making more calls because I'm jazzed. I'm pumped.
You want to keep going.
I want to keep going. I want to keep going. Yeah.
I love that you brought up that, you might go celebrate and have dinner with your wife.
Yeah.
And you have accredited her to being
Oh,
to
she's
being, the other half of your team. And I really enjoy when people do that. My rock, my partner, my teammate,
Yep.
my life partner, they're the reason that I'm here. In what ways is she so critical to your success?
Oh, she keeps me motivated because I mean, hey, you know what? I mean, I come across as extremely optimistic and extremely positive, but there are times that I can wake up and feel overwhelmed, or I can feel like this just doesn't. I mean, I just came off of like this is kind of the tail end of about a 6-week just brutal travel schedule. Just brutal.
Every time we
schedule.
talk to you, you're someplace new.
Brutal travel schedule, and it's kind of funny, but I get to tomorrow, Wednesday morning I speak, and by about noon or 1, I'll be kind of done for like a day and a half. I got a lot of stuff I got to do. That'd be Wednesday. That'd be 2.5 days. But I'm working on a couple of books, and I get frustrated because I'm not making enough progress on the books. And my wife will say, "Okay, hold. What do we need to do? And she'll say, what is it that we need to do to kind of help you get this done?" Now, she doesn't do the work for me, but she's my cheerleader. I mean, I tell you what, I love to say this, that sales is not a solo activity. Sales is a team sport.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to have people on your sales team cheering you on, because otherwise it gets pretty lonely. Yeah.
Do you see the type of partner that people have? I should probably rephrase that. Do you see a difference in success levels in people where you know that they're with the right person versus someone that they're just with because?
Oh, huge. Big. Oh, yeah. Big.
What does that look like?
Well, it looks like, because you can see that they're just internally fighting. It's not the same. Again, I always say the great leader is the great leader professionally and personally. And I don't think you can be a great leader at work and be a jerk at home.
I agree.
You just can't. And same thing with a salesperson. And I see this demonstrated level of consistency and support, because, again, it is all about support. Because, again, why carry the water yourself? Have others helping you.
Mm-hmm.
And
because they probably want to help.
They want to help. My wife does not like it when I'm upset, when I'm stressed out, when I'm, she doesn't like that.
Right. So she's asking you, what can I do?
She's asking me, hey, what do we need to, how can we help? Hey, have you talked on just, because she knows all my team members.
Mm-hmm.
And hey, why don't you get them doing that? Why don't you get that? You're right. I mean, I had this conversation with my wife over the weekend. One of my staff members, I felt I just wasn't using her quite properly, that I could give her more. And my wife kind of challenged me. She said, yeah, you're right. You pay her pretty good money.
Mm-hmm.
And so over the weekend, we kind of brainstormed, and she doesn't know my business intimately like I do, but she knows quite a bit. And so Kraft, okay, what are some things we can tweak? What are some things we can change in her job description to where she is being utilized more? Because otherwise it's frustrating on me, because I look at the size of my payroll and I go, wait a minute, here's a person that I'm paying a lot of money to, and am I really getting the ROI, the return on investment, I want for that person? I don't want to let them go.
Right.
I don't want to let them go. They're great, but clearly they're capable of so much more. Yeah.
What's your wife's name?
Anne-Marie.
Anne-Marie. So we just need to give a shout out to Anne-Marie.
You need to
for you being here.
You need to give a shout out to Anne-Marie. Hey, can I? This is what's funny, and we should know this. No, we should know this. You don't know this. We got married downstream from an active volcano.
You like to lead with that, don't you?
Yeah. This is kind of a funny story. We got married May 24th, 1980. So I've been married for 45 years to the same woman. And in Longview, Washington. Now, if you get out your maps and start Googling this, Longview, Washington, you'll see is about 30 miles west of Mount St. Helens. Mount St. Helens blew on May 18th. May 18th.
Okay.
And we got married downstream 6 days later. And the mountain blew again on May 25th. So we literally got my grandmother would not come to the wedding. My grandmother would not come to the wedding because she was fearful that the mountain was going to blow. There's going to be this flood. There's going to be death and destruction, and people would risk their lives trying to save her. So she did not come to the wedding. I mean, we had so many things that impacted our wedding. It was unbelievable. We got married, and 45 years later. So we just kind of joked that, I guess that's just the wedding started it all.
Yeah. Where Sam got married in Washington.
Leavenworth. I know Leavenworth. Yes, that's a great place. Why Leavenworth?
She had spent some time out in Washington.
Okay.
A few months living out there.
Okay.
And she showed me some pictures. I was like, let's just get married there. It looks awesome.
It's Bavarian town and
Very, very cool. I'm very happy we did it.
Yeah, that's neat. That's cool.
Right down by a little river.
Icicle River?
I think so, yeah.
Icicle River, or Icicle Creek or whatever. Yeah, I've camped along there. That's funny.
Very good.
I thought that was your wedding going on. No. Okay. Wow, that's neat. That's cool.
Well, I like to end things by asking the people if they have the guests on the show, if they have any questions for me or for Sam or for OK Tire with your whole experience that you've had with us this far.
Yeah. What's the purpose? What's your purpose in life? What's your purpose with this podcast?
Oh, man. I had an answer for what my purpose was, but not for the podcast.
Well, go ahead. I don't care.
I'm being quite honest.
You can break that apart.
I've said it before, but being able to help make things better and easier, happier for employees is why I do what I do. It doesn't matter which position I'm in or where I end up working, if it's here forever or if it's somewhere else. It's how can I positively impact employees, because I just remember all too well what it's like to go to work or even just wake up in the morning and think, what is wrong with me today that I cannot go?
Yeah.
That's
cool.
That's what I do. As far as this podcast goes, it was just simply an idea that Sam had, and he thought to himself, who's the most annoying person that I know? Alyson. Should be great to talk to people. And at first I was very hesitant and scared and just said, no way, I don't want to. Then he kept bothering me and I said, okay, we'll do a trial run. And we did one with our hiring manager, and it was really fun. And then we've only done a few episodes so far, but man, I really enjoy it now because you get to have conversations that you wouldn't otherwise ever get.
Oh,
like even the conversation we had today went in so many ways that I would have never thought it would have.
There's the values of podcasts on both sides. You as the host and me as the guest. It's incredible. I love Friday. I'm going to be interviewing Keith Ferrazzi, author of the book Never Eat Alone. He's going to be on my podcast, and I'm just thoroughly looking forward to having this type of engagement with him. Podcasting gives you the ability just to dialogue and have a conversation. And I think in this stressed out world, that's what people want.
Connection.
And they want a genuine, authentic, let's put the TikTok aside. Let's put all that stuff aside. Let's just peel it back, peel the onion, and get down to what's really happening out there. Yeah.
And that's what I've enjoyed the most so far with Sam and with our corporate team. They've allowed us to kind of just take this and run. And it's not that it has to be about automotive. I don't know that we've done one that's kind of automotive centric, but just we can take it so many places. And selfishly, I get a lot of ideas from the people that I'm interviewing, the mastermind group. I'm so super pumped to go text a couple people after this and go, hey, you want to start something?
Let's do it. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being on this podcast, for helping OK Tire with sales training, with leadership training. It's phenomenal. Cannot thank you enough. I'm sure Sean can't thank you enough. And we hope to work with you in the future.
We'll do it again. I'm sure we will.
Wonderful.
Yeah, great.